Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my video for what I'm reading, probably the beginning of August. We'll see how this works out, and as you can see, we had a storm last night. Actually, we had a tornado. Let's be honest. We had an actual tornado, well, not in my neighborhood, but in my town. So it was a pretty serious storm that came through here last night, and it broke one of my trees. So that's what's behind me. We haven't cleaned it up yet. But anyway, what am I reading? I am listening to Smokescreen by Terri Blackstock on my Scribd app. It is, so far, it's two perspectives. One is from a girl, one is from a guy. Can't think of their names off the top of my head, but the girl is a divorced woman with children, and her ex-husband is pretty horrible, and he is running for mayor, I believe, of the town, and he has this young, barely out of high school, new wife, and he's basically making her life miserable. She's going through a lot of turmoil. She's starting to drink a lot to like numb the pain of things. And then there is this guy who is a firefighter. He's actually one of the guys who like jumps out of planes into fires. So not just like your normal fireman. But he gets injured. And this is all in the very beginning. He gets injured and goes back to his hometown where his father murdered her father. And her father was the preacher or the pastor of their church. So that's where we're at right now. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a thriller or a mystery or anything like that, but so far in the story it's more like family drama, and I like it so far. I think I'm about maybe 15% of the way in, and I am still working my way through Voice in the Wind by Francine. I think I'm on page like 180 at this point. Loving it. Anyway, that is what I've got for right now, and I will check in with you guys later. Hey guys, I'm back with a check-in of what I've been reading recently. I probably should have quickly looked at the last thing that I filmed because I honestly don't remember what books I talked about. But anyway, I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm actually in a hotel right now. I'm in the gorgeous state of Kentucky. My friend is dropping off her daughter for college, her first year of college, so I came with her for the road trip. And so she's getting her kid settled into the dorm right now, so I'm just in the hotel. I'm gonna be reading for a while today because I have the time, and so I thought I would update you guys. So last night I actually finished the book Smokescreen by Terri Blackstock. I listened to that one on Scribd and I liked it. I wouldn't say it's the best book I've ever read, and I honestly don't know how to even categorize it. I'm not sure what it is technically categorized as, but I would call it like a family drama type of book, a contemporary family drama type of thing, which isn't my favorite. It had some characters that I found very frustrating. Even the main character, who you're supposed to really be rooting for, she was an alcoholic, or beginnings of an alcoholic, I would say, and she did some really stupid things, and my dad was an alcoholic, and so I just have a hard time rooting for that behavior, or rooting for the person that has that behavior, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but it was okay. I have also started and finished another book called In a Far Off Land by Stephanie Lansom. That one I loved, absolutely loved. It's set in the 1920s, in like the dirty, gritty underbelly of Hollywood, and it was dark and the characters were incredibly flawed, but these characters were ones that you were really rooting for. At least I was. I so wanted everything to go right for the main character, especially even though she did make bad decisions. I loved her, and I wanted to like take her home with me and take care of her. But it's basically about a young lady who leaves her small town, I'm going to say in South Dakota. It's set around the time of like the stock market crash, and everybody needs jobs, everybody needs money, and her family's farm is failing, and they are very desperate. And so she takes off for Hollywood hoping to make it big so she can go back home with money and take care of her father and her sister. And everything goes wrong for her. It does not play out the way she hopes. The redemption at the end of the book is so worth going through everything you go through with her. It was beautiful. I was crying at the end of the book. It was a hard read because of things that go on in Hollywood and things that she ends up doing. It was a really hard read. It's not for the faint of heart, but the ending was perfection. So I really recommend that book. Anyway, I will check in with you guys at the end of the month. I think I'll only make one video for like my wrap up this month because I'm just not reading that much. And I will see you guys in a minute. Hello, it is like a week and a half later, I think, from the last bit that I filmed. I am home now. As you can see, I'm not in a hotel room anymore. I finished A Voice in the Wind, and I loved it so much. I probably should do like a complete full review of that book alone, because there's just so much to say about it. And this is more of like what I'm reading in a wrap-up type of video. But man, that book, amazing. I gave it 5 stars. I've already ordered the second book, waiting for that to come in. I think I ordered it on eBay, so I will start that when it comes in, because the first book kind of ended on like a cliffhanger. Like it ended and you're like, oh my gosh, now what? So loved it. And I also then started on Scribd listening to The Progeny by Tosca Lee, and I'm probably 60% of the way through that, and I might DNF it. Picked it up because it had a really interesting premise, something that's very different from, you know, anything I've read before. And it basically said it had to do with a girl who was a descendant of, what's her name? Elizabeth Bathory? I can't remember if that's her first name, but that woman from an Eastern European country, maybe Transylvania, Hungary, something like that. And she was a real woman who was known to have like tortured like maids who worked for her, and like bathed in blood, all this stuff, this like crazy lady. So she's a real historical figure, and the girl in the book is supposed to be descended from her, and everyone who is descended from her is hunted by this group of people who have had like revenge against Countess Bathory for all these years. And so it was saying there's like this historical aspect to it, and like action and adventure, and all of that's true. It has a ton of adventure. It is very like absorbing. It really sucked me in from the very beginning. But this was listed as a Christian book, at least on Amazon. It had it as a Christian fiction book, and Tosca Lee, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be a Christian author. I know she writes like biblical fiction books, and I think she has a book series with Ted Dekker. But this book, I would not classify it as a Christian fiction book. It's not a book I would recommend to younger people. I think it's supposed to be YA because the characters are about 20, 21-ish. I would not recommend this book to younger people. I would not recommend this book to like Christians in general as like a Christian book. Now this book has like great readings on Goodreads. There's so many people that gave it a 5-star review. Again, that's one of the other reasons why I picked it up, but I'm noticing a trend on Goodreads when there's a lot of 5-star reviews. If you go through the entire review, at the bottom of the majority of them, those people will say, I received this as a free copy from the publisher for my honest review. And I'm really wondering, do they give an honest review because they got it for free? Because it's not Christian. It's not. I would not say it is. I started the other night reading The Mark of the King by Jocelyn Green, which is historical Christian fiction. I love her. I love her writing so much. It is so immersive. I am so sucked into this story. It takes place in the early 1700s when France was taking prisoners and convicts and resettling them in the beginning states of Louisiana, like in New Orleans area, before it was actually a city and more of just like a swamp. Fascinating story. So yeah, I am really liking that. Hopefully I will finish that before the end of the month. I think I will, because there's still like another week left, or is there? Gosh, I don't even know what day it is. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna put on my prayer book because I'm getting ready to run to the grocery store, and I will probably do one last check-in later. Hello guys, and welcome to Lake Anna for my final installment of what I've read in August. I almost said October, August. So this month, or August 17th, was my husband and mine 20th wedding anniversary, and so we decided to take a little mini vacation, just the two of us, to a lake here in Virginia for a few days. Did not realize when we were planning this trip that we were going to be getting the remnants of Hurricane Ida, but we are. So I decided to DNF the Progeny by Tosca Lee. I'm not going to finish that one. I got to about 70%, so that makes me sad, but in my opinion, it is not a book that I would consider Christian fiction, and I don't like that it's categorized that way. So yeah, I'm just not into it, so I'm not going to finish it. But I did finish Alone with God by John Macarthur. I think it's like Alone with God, The Power of Prayer or something. I'll put a little picture of it on here. And that book I gave 5 stars. I loved how informative it was, and it gave a ton of scripture to back up everything that he was saying. I found it really helpful. I really liked how the book is broken down. He basically breaks down, each chapter is another part of the Lord's Prayer, and he breaks down the Lord's Prayer. And I just thought it was phenomenal. So yeah, 5 stars to that. I also finished The Mark of the King by Jocelyn Green, and that book was really good as well. That's the second book I've read from her, and I love her writing style. She does historical fiction beautifully. It really makes you feel like you're there, and you learn a lot from the time period she's writing about. So I hope you all had a great August, and you have a fantastic September. I love September. It is my birthday month, so I'm very excited. So yeah, I will see you guys soon with what I will be reading in September.